Have you ever thought you've explored every haunted corner the golden age of horror has to offer? Think again. Tonight, we delve into 13 shadow-drenched spectacles from the 1950s, where ghosts were created with practical effects, gimmicks were gloriously over the top, and every eerie house was determined to scare you out of your wits. Prepare yourselves, horror enthusiasts, as we journey into this chilling world where timeless scares come to life through gripping storylines and ingenious craftsmanship. Step through the iron-framed doorway of House on Haunted Hill, 1959, and feel the immediate chill that sets the tone for this eerie adventure. The eccentric playboy Frederick Loren invites 5 strangers to a cliffside party, and you, the viewer, hold the flashlight guiding the way. Above, a swinging chandelier creaks ominously. Caskets are repurposed as party favors, and deep in the cellar, an acid vat bubbles like a wicked fondue. As you navigate the twisting corridors, Vincent Price's velvety voice serves as your charming yet chilling guide, simultaneously warm as brandy and cold as a grave. Director William Castle, a true showman, meticulously crafted every scare by hand. He employed hidden pneumatic blasts for sudden door slams, reverse cranks that made ghosts appear to glide, and featured that unforgettable plastic skeleton which once snatched a patron's hat mid-flight. Castle's carnival expertise transformed this $200,000 quick production into a $3 million success, surpassing big studio releases in major cities. While critics were skeptical, midnight audiences thrilled at the film's playful showmanship, which laid the groundwork for today's 4D-themed park haunted attractions. Look closely at the attic window, and you'll spot crew fingerprints in the cobwebs. Castle insisted on building real dust traps instead of spraying artificial fluff, creating a mansion that truly feels lived in, if not quite alive. Vincent Price later joked this was the most fun he'd had for so little money, and you can sense that enjoyment in every sardonic grin, daring the audience to laugh before they scream. The Screaming Skull, 1958. Imagine yourself settled in for a midnight double feature when suddenly the projector crackles to life and a narrator warns in ominous tones. This film is so terrifying, the studio will pay for your burial if you die of fright. It's a carnival dare worthy of P.T. Barnum, dreamed up by first-time director Alex Nichol, who even steps into the story as the sneering gardener, Mickey. We meet newlywed Jenny, still haunted by a traumatic childhood. She arrives at her husband Eric's sprawling country manor, a labyrinth of overgrown hedges, dusty hallways, and echoing porticos. Before long, a grinning skull clatters down a staircase like a bone china bowling ball, and whispered accusations hang heavier than the thick cobwebs. Behind the scenes, the scares are wonderfully homemade. The titular skull isn't latex or fiberglass, but a genuine medical specimen borrowed from a Hollywood prop house. Its jaw is wired with fishing line, so it can chatter convincingly under the dim lights. Cinematographer Floyd Crosby bathes the interiors in high-contrast shadows that cleverly disguise budget constraints, while composer Ernest Gold layers Stravinsky-tinged strings beneath each sudden rattle. Peggy Weber, secretly pregnant during filming, performed her staircase falls with the help of hidden harnesses. Crew members cleverly yanked her from off-camera ladders. Drive-in audiences clutched their soda cups tightly as box office returns steadily past the film's modest $140,000 budget. The Screaming Skull slipped into public domain, forever lurking in late-night TV slots, a perfect blend of suspense and dark humor that continues to unsettle and amuse generations. Terror in the Haunted House, 1958, also known under the poetic title My World Dies Screaming, transports viewers to a sultry Florida setting drenched in Spanish moss, destiny, and dread. Newlywed Sheila Cat steps into her husband's ancestral manor, where an unsettling sense of familiarity jolts her. Every corridor and crooked banister seems to haunt her nightmares. Her husband Philip, ever the man of reason, initially dismisses her fears until phantom footsteps echo overhead and a chilling lullaby hums through the radiators, despite the stifling heat. Director Harold Daniels masterfully employs claustrophobic angles and sweat-drenched close-ups, making the walls themselves appear to close in with each glance. To stretch their budget, Daniels and cinematographer Gerald Perry Furman filmed day scenes as nights and bathed sets in dim amber gels, deepening the eerie atmosphere. The film gained notoriety for its psycho-AMA technique, an experimental approach devised by producer William S. Edwards. This involved flashing single-frame images of skulls, coils, and the word blood at speeds imperceptible to the conscious eye. Life magazine even investigated whether these hidden images could influence the human will, adding to the buzz that benefited theater managers through free publicity. Though the movie's domestic earnings stalled beneath $1 million, this pioneering experiment etched a lasting mark in horror history. Today, pausing the Blu-ray reveals the literal paper-cut skull slides taped to the film strip, a primitive yet sinister touch that reflects Sheila's tormented psyche, anxieties lurking between the frames of ordinary life. Long before found footage or alternate reality games, this 1958 experiment weaponized cinema's very mechanics. Watching it with the curtains drawn, blinking becomes a challenge, for at times, the film seems to glare right back at the viewer. Decades later, scientific tests confirmed that audiences subconsciously registered these fleeting images, making terror in the haunted house a relic, a cautionary tale, and a mischievous blueprint for every subliminal horror technique that followed. Black Cat Mansion, 1958. Step quietly into a dimly lit hillside clinic where the fluorescent bulbs buzz like restless insects, transporting you back 3 centuries to a tale steeped in betrayal and blood. Director Nobuo Nakagawa masterfully fractures time across 3 distinct color palettes: an icy blue for the modern hospital corridors, grainy black and white capturing the 1920s flashbacks, and a saturated vermilion that bleeds into an Edo-era witchcraft nightmare. This seamless blending of tones pulls you deeper into a story where a compassionate doctor moves his tuberculosis patients into a remote ancestral mansion, only to inherit a sinister curse forged by a murdered servant, a mutilated black cat, and a rage that has never died. Working under the audacious low-budget Shintoho studio, Nakagawa's team relied heavily on practical effects to conjure their haunting atmosphere. The enormous feline demon face that suddenly fills a tatami room was not a digital trick, but actually a rear projection screen draped in chiffon that rippled to suggest fur. The body-length claws? Simple lacquered boards mounted on bamboo poles, thrust through sliding paper doors moments before the camera dollied in to heighten the tension. Crew legends recall the incense-waving wranglers coaxing a temperamental tabby cat across the set, filling the studio with the lingering scent of burnt sage. Though Black Cat Mansion never graced American theaters, its 16mm prints, released under the title curse of the Black Cat, mesmerized arthouse audiences with a unique blend of no-style choreography and drive-in gore. Severed pinkies rolled across tatami mats, eyeless monks chanted in negative exposure, and the vengeful cat spirit surged through the centuries like an unstoppable curse. Contemporary scholars trace a direct lineage from these tangible allusions to the pop surrealist carnage of later Japanese horrors and the sorrowful phantoms haunting Ju-on. Watch Black Cat Mansion with the lights turned low and sound raised high. Every scratch of the kodo string, every shimmer of projected fur dissolves the boundary between your living room and the hungry past, making you feel as if the deadly curse could reach out from the screen at any moment. Put on your 3D glasses and step into a Scottish castle with production designer William Cameron Menzies guiding the way, where each hallway folds and twists like living origami. Our protagonist, Kitty Murray, arrives after her fiancé suddenly calls off their engagement and retreating to his ancestral home. When she discovers him aged decades and clutching a candle like a remorseful monk, the mystery deepens into thick Highland fog. The castle's centerpiece is an 18-foot high hedge maze constructed full-scale on a California ranch. Gardeners meticulously sprayed the foliage with glycerin every morning to make it glisten under the stark studio lights. Behind the scenes, Menzies, fresh from his grandeur on Gone with the Wind, repurposed leftover lumber and matte paintings to create depth. He even employed gardeners to entwine live ivy through chicken wire overnight, adding to the realistic effect. Cinematographer Harry Newman capitalized on forced perspective hallways where candelabras dangerously brush close to the camera lens, enhancing the stereoscopic illusion. Though the budget hovered around $800,000, modest for Allied artists, it was still a significant investment, with every penny visible on screen. The climax reveals the true master of the castle, a grotesque amphibian creature waddling on foam rubber legs, clad in silk pajamas. This unforgettable monster suit, nicknamed Froggy, required 2 crew members to manually crank open the mouth like bellows as actor Robin Hughes peered through the mesh. Audiences in 1953 were split between screams and laughter, but no one forgot that eerie image. While critics were doubtful, box office receipts rivaled even House of Wax per theater, cementing The Maze's place as a memorable entry in 1950s horror. Settle into a high-backed library chair as thunder cracks outside and meet Cornelia Van Gorder, an accomplished crime novelist seeking inspiration in a secluded old country estate. Her hopes for peace are quickly shattered when a mysterious claw-gloved killer, known only as the Bat, begins prowling the locked rooms in pursuit of hidden treasure. Directed by Crane Wilbur, this adaptation of Mary Roberts Reinhardt's stage play exudes a refined menace throughout. Doors mysteriously close by themselves, fog billows from ceiling vents, and glass shatters under the unseen claws of the assailant. Production designer Nicholas Remy crafted collapsible wall sections, allowing the camera to glide seamlessly through the narrow corridors without cuts, heightening tension purely through clever staging rather than optical tricks. Vincent Price delivers a nuanced performance as the morally ambiguous Dr. Wells, his improvised pauses and subtle eyebrow raises turning even the simplest gestures into moments dripping with unease. Agnes Moorehead commands the screen as the formidable Cornelia, her tailored tweed and righteous fury contrasting with sly jokes whispered off-camera to ease the extras' nerves. Despite a modest budget under $250,000, the film quickly recouped its costs, buoyed by late-night television broadcasts that brought its stark monochrome shadows into countless suburban homes. Fans of Italian giallo point to the Bat's minimalist mask, black fabric stretched taut over the face with no eye holes, as a precursor to the iconic blood and lace imagery for which the genre became known. The film's restraint on gore keeps suspense taut. Every creaking floorboard and footstep clicks like chalk on slate. And if your phone rings at midnight, be warned, you might just hear that velvety voice calling your name. In 1954, the Bowery Boys brought comedy straight into the haunted house genre with the Bowery Boys Meet the Monsters. When Slip, Satch, and the rest of the gang arrive at Gravesend Manor to plead for a neighborhood baseball lot, they stumble into a family tree filled with every monster cliché imaginable. This includes a mad scientist eager to transplant brains, a femme fatale vampire practicing jetty in a tutu, a man-child who treats radioactive plants like cherished pets, and a roaring gorilla suit recycled directly from Robot Monster. Director Edward Behrens delivered a showcase of practical ingenuity. The film's single-plaster corridor transformed effortlessly into laboratory, crypt, and greenhouse simply by swapping sconces for fluorescent bulbs. The carnivorous plant, made from foam rubber painted with day-glow house paint, glowed strikingly under black light, prompting shrieks of laughter from kids at Saturday matinees. Despite its modest $90,000 budget, Allied artists reported grossing close to $1 million, a testament to the film's appeal to prank-loving teenagers and repeat matinee crowds. The movie's enduring charm lies in its perfect blend of spooky tension enough to thrill but silly enough to have the whole family laughing. It paved the way for Abbott and Costello's monster mashups and even influenced Scooby-Doo's signature combination of slapstick and spectral fun. Scared Stiff, 1953. Swap out the typical screams for a swinging good time as Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis and Carmen Miranda embark on a Caribbean escapade steeped in voodoo legends and cloaked in velvety fog. The plot revolves around a mysterious inheritance that grants them a castle on an island said to be haunted by ghosts, while Jerry's jittery knees practically play their own xylophone with nervous energy. Director George Marshall, revisiting his earlier work with Bob Hope's Ghostbusters, uses Technicolor like a candy shop's palette, neon greens for the eerie swamp mist, royal purples to light up torchlit corridors, and flamingo pink highlights that perfectly captured Jerry's frantic expressions. Paramount invested a generous $1.7 million, most of which went into crafting oversized sets that could handle Jerry Lewis's whirlwind slapstick routines. A drawbridge collapses on cue, powered by hydraulic pistons lifted from Navy surplus, adding to the film's charm. The zombie butler's glowing makeup was cleverly created with powdered laundry detergent under ultraviolet lamps, a trick that Disney later borrowed for its Haunted Mansion ride. This film also features Carmen Miranda's swan song, balancing her iconic fruit hat and slipping in Portuguese ghost puns between takes, much to the audience's delight. Box office results were impressive, doubling the budget in under 10 weeks and solidifying Martin and Lewis's place in pop culture with their bossa nova-flavored hit, Money Burns a Hole in My Pocket, which dominated radio airwaves. Critics grumbled that the plot stalled whenever Dean Martin sang, but that's precisely where the movie's magic lies. Tension dissolved by torch ballads and scares punctured by Jerry's elastic comedic timing. The House on Telegraph Hill, 1951, invites you into the fog-shrouded heights of San Francisco's North Beach, where a weathered Victorian mansion perches precariously above the city. Here, war survivor Victoria assumes the identity of her deceased friend to inherit a sizable fortune and becomes the guardian of a young boy, pulling her into a web of secrets and suspicion. Director Robert Wise, fresh off The Day the Earth Stood Still, orchestrates a taut thriller where the house itself feels less haunted by ghosts and more by conspiracies. Every creak of the floorboards and the erratic movement of the dumbwaiter hint at hidden dangers lurking just out of sight. Wise blends authentic locations with expertly crafted matte paintings, allowing viewers to glimpse the grandeur of Julius's castle's exterior before stepping inside the peeling wallpaper and claustrophobic interiors of the Fox Studios soundstages. A memorable runaway car scene hurtles down the steep, winding slopes of Telegraph Hill without relying on rear projection, thanks to stunt driver Carrie Lofton's flawless one-take execution, gravel flying so realistically that preview audiences instinctively ducked. The production design by Lyle Wheeler adds an extra layer of tension, filling the nursery with potential hazards like a swing rig to snap if leaned on too far, a device never actually triggered during filming but palpable in its menacing presence on screen. Made on a modest budget of $750,000, the film doubled its investment and garnered rich critical praise. Many reviewers noted its Hitchcockian flair and noir undertones, and French critics especially admired the play of shadows across staircases, imbuing every scene with a sense of geometric suspense. Although the story features no tangible ghosts, a sense of poison lingers in a simple glass of orange juice, and the sound of foghorns echoes mournfully like distant banshees. The House on Telegraph Hill perfectly captures the feeling that sometimes the deadliest hauntings are those born from secrets, lies, and human treachery. Step through the heavy oak gate of the Normandy Chateau in The Strange Door, 1951, where sinister delights await under flickering candlelight. The corpulent and gleefully malevolent Sire Delat, played with wicked enthusiasm by Charles Linton, holds dominion over the dark estate. Within these stone walls, he imprisons his own niece and subjects her lover to merciless, sadistic games. Swinging axes, rising water chambers, and walls that literally close in form the deadly trials they must endure to hope for freedom. Boris Karloff brings a tender weariness to the role of the loyal servant Voltan, who navigates torchlit passages and spring-loaded traps in a desperate bid to save the wrongfully imprisoned rogue. Universal Pictures invested around $600,000 into the film, focusing much of the budget on authentic medieval torture devices. The climactic scene features a full-scale corridor with stone walls compressing inward on massive gears salvaged from an old cotton gin, so formidable that any misstep by the actors could have resulted in serious injury. Director Joseph Pevney captured the tense sequence with 2 cameras and real falling masonry dust, prompting Linton to wryly remark, "If the ceiling collapses, at least we'll receive authentic applause." Cinematographer Irving Glassberg's noir-inspired lighting casts dark bars across faces, painting a picture of romantic peril and foreshadowing the atmospheric style that Hammer Films would later popularize. Though initially released as a late-night programmer, The Strange Door stirred controversy in the South, where censorship boards cut whipping scenes and removed one particularly gruesome rack shot. Despite this, word of mouth spread quickly, drawing sailors and thrill-seekers alike to this blend of swashbuckling adventure and chilling sadism. British critics praised its romantic flair, while modern horror historians credit it with laying early groundwork for the Hammer horror aesthetic, a fusion of high-contrast chiaroscuro, gothic menace, and complex villainy. The Black Castle, 1952, invites you into the shadowed depths of Count von Brunner's fortress, a formidable granite silhouette against a tempestuous sky, its jagged outline eerily reminiscent of a grinning skull. British adventurer Sir Ronald Burton arrives to unravel the mystery of his vanished friends, only to uncover a labyrinth of danger. Alligators lurking in the moat, secret ophthalmology labs filled with intrigue, and opulent banquet halls where trust is as fleeting as the wine's taste, laced with betrayal. Director Nathan Euron makes his debut by ingeniously repurposing Universal's leftover sets from Son of Frankenstein, proving that even the bones of old nightmares can birth new frights. Lon Chaney Jr. commands the corridors as Gargan, a scarred henchman torn between loyalty and conscience, while Boris Karloff softens the menacing atmosphere as the compassionate Dr. Meister, described by patients as the sole candle flickering in the dungeon's darkness. Practical effects steer the film's chilling ambience. Fog rolls from dry ice boilers, seeping beneath iron doors, and a collapsible bridge flips stuntmen into the gator-infested waters below, where juvenile crocodilians quietly circle under a discreet chicken wire net. Cinematographer Irving Glassberg infuses the dungeons with skewed beams of light, tilting both psychological tension and perspective. Released on Christmas Day to captivate holiday audiences hungry for adventure, The Black Castle garnered solid box office returns and earned praise for its brisk pacing, even as critics cast a wary eye on its reptilian finale. The film resurfaced on late-night television in the 1970s, where aspiring filmmakers noted its unique fusion of swashbuckling adventure and horror, a formula later refined by horror legends at Hammer and Hollywood icons like Indiana Jones. Scholars highlight the film's pioneering female lead, portrayed by Paula Corday, who brandishes crossbows with determination rather than fainting on couches, a harbinger of the modern action heroine. Every torch seems to stand sentinel. Every gargoyle appears to watch as you pass. Dare to linger within the Black Castle's walls, and you enter a realm where old terrors breathe anew. The Ghost of Yotsuya, 1959. Legend has it that uttering Lady Oiwa's name by candlelight causes the flame to flicker and doom to descend. Director Nobuo Nakagawa transforms this classic kabuki revenge tale into a haunting fever dream set among tatami mats and blood-soaked kimonos. The story unfolds as Samurai Aimen murders his devoted wife in a ruthless quest for social advancement. Oiwa's ghost, her face half-melted and weeping poison, appears as a floating apparition, crafted without optical printers by dripping wax makeup under studio lights while sliding a gauze screen between camera and actor. With a shoestring budget on Shintoho's backlit, imagination ran free. Wheeled mirrors glided across rice paper walls, enabling double exposures that merged specter and live action seamlessly. Crimson food coloring was painstakingly hand-painted onto film frames to deliver sudden shocks of vivid blood amid the monochrome palette. One iconic scene features Oiwa's lantern-lit visage blooming from shadow, achieved simply with a dimmer switch and a rotating paper disc to create organic morphing effects. Crew members recalled unsettling moments of actors chanting purification prayers between takes, spooked by the film's reputed curse. Though modest at the domestic box office, the film's influence ripples through horror history. Oiwa's archetype of long, wet hanging hair became a cornerstone of Japanese horror, echoing deeply through works like Ringu and inspiring the whole J-horror wave. Her whispered curse transcends language, chilling audiences with an ice-cold grip deep in the gut. Modern restorations reveal glistening beads of glycerin sweat on actor Shigeru Amachi's brow as his guilt eats him from within. Viewing this film on a quiet, locked night may reveal a pale candlelight curve lurking just out of sight, as if the ghost herself watches. Ghost Chasers, 1951. Long before proton packs and high-tech ghost-busting gear, the Bowery Boys armed themselves with grit and gumption to take on a crooked seance scam. Slip, determined to reveal fake spirit mediums, and Satch, nervously hoping to steady his shaky knees, find themselves facing an unexpected twist, a real ghost named Edgar. Clad in sharp 1890s attire and sporting a grin wider than the Brooklyn Bridge, Edgar turns the tables on the skeptics. Director William Bodine, known for his swift and economical filmmaking, transforms a creaky boarding house into a stage for an array of supernatural tricks, floating candlesticks, slamming doors, and levitating photographs. With a budget barely scraping $85,000, ingenious practical effects take center stage. Invisible wires drag chairs across parquet floors. A spirit cabinet employs forced perspective with half-sized furniture glued to the back wall, letting Edgar seemingly pass through walls like mist. Stagehands meticulously timed rope-pulled chandeliers to comedy beats, while dry ice pellets concealed in a skull's eye sockets produced instant fog when water was added. The result was a charming $700,000 box office success and a beloved Saturday matinee favorite. Kids adored Edgar as a friendly ghost long before the rise of Casper, while adults chuckled at the boy's rapid-fire slang and antics. Ghost Chasers blends comedy and spookiness with clever cinematic tricks, making it a delightful entry in 1950s horror comedy history. These 13 shadow-drenched gems from the 1950s invite us on a mesmerizing journey through a decade where practical effects and inventive storytelling crafted unforgettable scares. From eerie mansions to haunted mazes, each film offers a unique blend of suspense, humor, and atmospheric dread that still resonates with horror fans today. Which haunting tale will you dare to watch next? If this haunting journey through the eerie and enchanting films of the 1950s thrilled and enlightened you, don't hesitate to like, comment, and share your favorite shadow-soaked spectacle. Subscribe now for more spine-tingling explorations into horror's golden past and beyond. Let's keep the lanterns lit together.